Hello there, people of the internet. I don't really know what direction I'm going to take this particular video in, but it is something that I do want to talk about. Whenever I make videos talking about how I use black powder, I've already got the hiccups, guys. I'm sorry about that. I get the hiccups a lot whenever I start talking. I have no idea why. But whenever I talk about how I make my own black powder and I shoot it in my muzzle loaders, but I also load like modern cartridges to shoot the black powder through, just because it's a cost-saving measure. Like I can load 308 ammunition for like 10 cents a shot if I'm loading my own homemade black powder cartridges versus loading it with smokeless that I have to go out and commercially buy. I guess you could make your own smokeless rounds, but making smokeless powder is a lot more difficult than making black powder. But anyway, whenever I talk about me using this black powder for whatever it is that I'm using it for, or since I'm a military surplus guy, as I'm sure you guys noticed, I'll use like older military surplus ammunition. I'll have a lot of people go into my comments and they'll complain that the ammunition that I'm using is corrosive. And yes, it 100% is. I'm not going to say that it's not. But people seem to make such a huge deal out of corrosive ammo, like way, way, way beyond what is actually necessary. If you want to know how to clean corrosive ammunition, fix my camera stand here. If you want to know how to clean corrosive ammunition, not only have I made several videos on the subject that you can literally go look up right now using YouTube, but there are countless other videos out there talking about how to go about cleaning up the corrosive element of corrosive ammo. Long story short, there's all sorts of different additives and things like. Actually, I got a whole pile of stuff right here next to what it is I'm currently recording with. But there's a bunch of different artificial things that you can go out there and you can use. But the easiest thing by far to use is hot water, and why people are so against using hot water to clean up your corrosive ammunition, I will never understand. People are just ridiculously against cleaning their firearms in general, and that's another thing that I never really understood. I like cleaning guns. I get that some people out there just don't like it, but the people that are out there that will just completely steer clear of absolutely anything that might be corrosive just because they don't feel like cleaning their firearm, I don't know if they are just wholeheartedly and completely lazy. I don't know if they are just scared to clean their firearm. I don't know if, like, I'm not sure what their logic is behind not wanting to clean their firearm. Maybe they just don't rightly know how to use or how to get rid of the corrosive salts inside of your barrel from corrosive ammo. It literally is just hot water. If you shoot black powder, use hot water to wash out the remains of the black powder. If you use corrosive ammo, I literally just take a funnel, stick it in my barrel, and take hot water and pour it down the barrel, and that gets rid of the salts. So I guess the easiest way for me to make some comparisons here, let's say that we're not talking about a firearm. Let's say we're talking about, I don't know, a cast iron skillet, right? Very simple, cast iron skillet. You get some salt on that skillet somehow. I don't know what you're doing. You get some salt on the skillet. Well, that skillet is going to rust because of that salt. Salt makes metal rust. That is what is corrosive inside of the ammunition that we use. There's salt inside of the primers, if we're talking about the old school military surplus ammo. Salt inside of the primers, and that salt gets on the barrel, and salt makes metal rust. Well, hot water dissolves salt, so you got your cast iron skillet, and you wash it, like in your sink or something, using hot water, maybe even some soap. You can use soap inside of your firearm too if you feel it's necessary. But the goal is to get whatever is on that thing off of that thing. I mean, your firearm is made of metal. Your skillet is made of metal. You don't have to be afraid of getting water on it. It's made of metal. That's one of the things I never really understood. Now, after that, you dry off your skillet, just like you dry off your gun. Okay, I got a bunch of water inside of the barrel now because I was rinsing it out. Well, now I have my cleaning patch, which I'm going to use to dry out the barrel. And then depending on how it is you want to handle your cast iron skillet, there's certain oils and whatnot that you can use to prevent rust. Same thing with your firearm. You put rust on the, or you put oil on the metal, whether we're talking about firearm or a skillet, depending on whether or not you decide to go this route with your skillet. Some people like to season their skillets different ways, and that's a whole conversation for another time, another video, I guess. But if you want to prevent your skillet from rusting, the most common practice that I've seen is you stick some oil on it. Typically a food-grade oil or something like that. Same thing with your firearm. If you want to prevent it from rusting, now that you've washed all the crap out of it, you put oil on it. Now, maybe you have some kind of coating or some kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like a finish. Maybe you have some kind of finish on the metal on their firearm to where you don't have to worry about it rusting and you don't have to worry about sticking oil on it or anything like that. If you do, good for you. Most of your old military surplus guns, they'll rust if you don't oil that barrel. So you stick oil on the metal just like you would stick it on, say, a cast iron skillet to prevent rust. Now maybe you're concerned about the wood getting wet. Those, especially if we're talking about military surplus guns, these things have been through the rain and through the mud and sweat, tears, blood, gore. They've been through way worse than the water it would take to clean it. Now, remember that, I mean, yeah, it's wood, but, God, it's wood. It's wood that is specifically treated to not fall apart whenever it is hit with water, essentially, or at least most of your firearms are that are made of wood. Of course, there are going to be some exceptions out there, I guess, but unless we're talking about some really niche items, most of your wood is conditioned to not deteriorate whenever it is hit by water, if we're talking about the wood from firearms. If you have your wood on your gun getting wet, and that makes you uncomfortable, think about, like, a front porch, right? A front porch they're normally made of wood. Or think about, basically, I mean, choose anything that's made of wood. Think about your kitchen table, if that thing's made of wood. Think about your counters, if those are made of wood. Think about whatever it is that you want to think about that's made of wood, that comes in contact with water, that is not a firearm. I don't know why people are so against their firearms getting wet. I mean, you just dry it off. It's not overly complicated. If you get a whole bunch of water in between, like, the barrel and the stock of your firearm, there's typically 2 little screws in most of your bolt-action rifles. Pull your thing out to where you can dry it off if you absolutely feel that that is necessary, just to prevent any deterioration or any rust or anything like that. But that's only if, like, you mess up the cleaning process and somehow manage to get just an unholy amount of water inside of that particular area of your firearm. Long story short, most of the things that are wood have some kind of finish or some kind of treatment or some kind of something to them that has been done to prevent them from deteriorating from water. Now, of course, you don't want that water to, like, sit in the wood, but in most of your environments, that's not going to be a problem. And I'm willing to bet that it's not going to be a problem for a considerable amount of time, because over there in the Pacific Theater, whenever, you know, we had Marines fighting off against the Japanese, it was quite wet and quite rainy, and I'm betting that their wooden firearms were very much drenched all of the time, and I'm willing to bet that it also did not cause much significant deterioration for the time where they were dealing with that. I don't know what their cleaning measures or anything like that was. I'm sure somebody can sound off in the comments. But long story short, you don't have to be scared of cleaning your gun. Like, I think this is the big thing. People are just uncomfortable with the idea of cleaning their gun because they think that they're going to hurt something. You're not going to hurt something by cleaning your firearm. I think that really is the biggest thing. People are just scared to do it. If you're willing to wash your dishes and the metal dishes inside of your dishes, then you are familiar with washing metal. If you have a porch outside of your house that is made of wood, then you are familiar with having wood that gets wet. It's really not a process that people have to, like, shy away from. If you fire corrosive ammo or black powder, then clean your gun. And it's, I never understood why people were so against that. I love shooting my old military surplus ammo, especially because it is considerably cheaper, even though it is way more expensive nowadays than it used to be. It's still considerably cheaper than buying non-corrosive, you know, modern-made stuff, except for 7.62x54R. That's about on par with, like, the new non-corrosive stuff is about on par with the old corrosive stuff. But something like 8mm Mauser, I'll shoot the corrosive stuff all day long, every day of the week. I'll pick that over the modern production stuff. Or if I'm making rounds that have my own black powder. Cost effective, absolutely. And the complaints that I get from people like, hey, that's gonna rot out your gun. No, it's not. Just clean it. It's not hard. It's not difficult. It's not scary. You shouldn't shy away from it. And if you do shy away from it, I guess sound off below. I'm willing to bet it's basically people going to say something along the lines of, I just don't feel like doing it. And I do feel like doing it. This is what I do. So, thanks for watching, folks. Appreciate your time. Kind of a rant video, I guess, because it happens so much in my comments down below. So, now I have a link to be able to send to people. Thanks for watching. Appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share. Description below is a link to all sorts of stuff. Go check it out. You guys go have yourself a fantastic day. I'll see you on the next episode. Since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. The poor man's Garen. Shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.